This is Robert Merglacci, the Mindshare Learning Report, Canada's learning and technology e-magazine, and welcome to This Week in Canadian EdTech MindShareTV podcast with internationally renowned EdTech leader Keith Krueger, who is the CEO of CoSN, unpacking their recent annual conference that celebrated 30 years of leadership in EdTech. Thank you for joining me this afternoon, Keith.
Great to see you, Robert. I am in recovery. We just had our biggest ever conference in Austin, and it was fabulous.
Congratulations. And a little bit about Keith Krueger. He's the CEO of the Consortium for Schools Networking, a not-for-profit that serves as the voice of K-12 school system technology leaders in North America. CoSN's mission is empowering educational leaders to leverage technology in realizing education learning environments of the future. Keith has been leader, he tells me, for the last 28 years.
28 to 30.
And multi-award winning in his leadership, known as one of the top 10 most influential in EdTech, top 30. He's been selected by eSchool News as one of the 10 people who have had to profound impact on educational technology over the last decade. And he's a perennial guest on our show, which we're honored to have. And kudos to you for all the impact you've made. And you haven't announced your retirement yet. You're not ready to sail into
I
the
have
sunset.
not, but my mother thanks you wherever she is now. But thanks you as she's looking down on all the kind words you say about the things I've done. But the reality is we need to be looking forward.
Absolutely. And I always value our collegial working relationship and friendship as well. And that says a lot about our sector and the passion and the impact that people make that are part of your ecosystem and the leaders you attract, Keith. Kudos to you for that. Talk to me a little bit about this was your highest attendance ever. So, and your 30th year, there are some real pressing issues in EdTech, unparalleled in any period in our history, coming out of COVID.
Yeah, and for the folks who have technology in their title, who lead these efforts for our school systems, there's no question the number one concern is cybersecurity. We've seen attacks all across North America. School districts are being shut down for loss of learning time, and also just data of students and teachers and administrators are being put at risk. School systems are being held for ransom. So those sessions that we did on that topic were overflowing. We brought in our federal agencies, Homeland Security and the FBI to kind of how do we work together, as well as the parts of the Department of Education. So lots of interest in that. And then, of course, the new topic that cybersecurity has been the big topic for the last several years. The new topic was, of course, generative AI. So which the focus since December has been on ChatGPT. We're trying to use the generic term because there are lots of new products that are using the technology of you say something and it answers. And you were just telling me about a very cool application. But we're trying to help school system leaders think better about that. And how do you respond when kind of the natural inclination of many people, many teachers and parents and school board members is let's ban it. And of course, that's a bad way to go because you can't successfully ban something that is in students' pockets and backpacks.
Absolutely, and you provide a lot of insight and reports. And I was just going to share my screen where you that highlights a number of various publications that you've shared over through your toolkit. And whether it's cybersecurity or AI, I mean, there's a lot of value in being a member of CoSN. And talk to me about your prototypical member. and some of the and you've got Canadian reach as well. It's North America wide.
We do. So we focus on school district or school board, depending on where you are, and the whole team that kind of leads that effort. We generically call the chief technology officer, but it's for everyone. And we also have a real big initiative to help heads of, meaning superintendents, understand sort of what their job is. So those are usually big, complicated issues like privacy of data or digital equity, brought down to a one pager that they can share at the cabinet level or with their school board, or just to help the superintendent understand her or his role.
And thank you for that. And talk to me about the focus on the National Department of Education update on the technology plan that our friends at CETA are a part of.
Yeah. This is every few years, the U.S. Department of Education puts out a national EdTech plan. I've always said it's kind of a misnomer. It's more of a vision statement than a plan. But it's been important. The last one identified two priorities. One was digital equity, and the other was digital accessibility. So they are right now taking input, and we had Assistant Secretary Roberto Rodriguez there. We also did a separate input on infrastructure with Michael Klein, and there are some upcoming virtual inputs that we'll be letting CoSN members know about, because we want to make sure that the Department of Education hears, about what's happening and where they're going. Yeah.
And what is the timeline on that publication being released?
Well, always a good question of how quickly. My understanding is by this summer, the draft will go in, and then it goes into the black hole of getting approval. So, we can be optimistic that maybe in a few months after that we'll see it. Sometimes these take a long time to get out of government approval.
Now, no, awards are a big part of in recognizing accomplishments of leaders that are affiliated with CoSN. Talk to me a little bit about the recognition that occurred, and I'm going to flash some of those folks up on the screen.
We have every year we give an award to a superintendent for, and we do that with the Superintendents Association. And we honored a superintendent from Indiana who has applied universal design concepts, which were, for kids with special needs, but he's applied it across the entire sector. Here you see Susan Moore. She won our CTO of the year. She's from Meriden School District, and I think she was at our conference, and I think she must have headed immediately the next day to Washington D.C. to meet Secretary Cardona, who actually was the state superintendent for Connecticut before he became our U.S. secretary. We also had two school districts. Berkeley County School District that they're in, not in California, but in South Carolina, and Corpus Christi School District in Texas. And they, are doing great work just on digital transformation and equity. There you're showing a picture of our great board of directors, and you can see led by our new chair, Diane Dersch.
Yes, of course. I know Diane well. And leadership is so important, and having those voices that really drives your strategic direction, doesn't it?
It really is. And we're going to be coming out. We gave kind of a sneak preview of the forthcoming plan, but it'll come out officially in May. And when you look at that board and when you looked at the attendees, one of the things we're proud about is that we're really trying to lean into how to make sure that everyone feels they're welcome, that everyone belongs, and making sure that particularly around diversity, equity, and inclusion, that we have leaders who are historically underrepresented, represented. And we did a lot of work on that, everything from an LGBTQ.
I saw that.
We did
Kudos to you for your leadership in that area.
And women in IT. And we did a new event this year called Male Allyship, which is how men can support women in advancing their career. The research is pretty clear that that is very important. And there you're showing Michael Horn, who was our opening keynote. And he, you may recall he had a famous book a long time ago, a decade ago, called Disrupting Class. And he has a new one called on Reinvention. And really timely for this particular moment and really stirring, I think, for our audience.
I had the honor of interviewing his co-author, Dr. Johnson. And one of the things they talked about was regretting calling it Disrupting Class because everyone thought it was about education when it wasn't. It was really about innovation.
Yes.
And disruptive innovation, and how you need to allow teams to work outside of the main organizational structure to be agile and innovative. So, well, kudos to you for bringing in some top-notch leaders, including Dr. Michelle Zingara from York University, one of my
she's
friends
fabulous.
And colleagues.
She had we had the closing. Everybody's been running for 3 days, and then she has to wrap it all up. But her vision and enthusiasm, and we had a great set of responders. A superintendent from Ohio, and Lori Owens, one of our board members from California. So that they were really good about how we kind of scale these sorts of things, and how do we move beyond kind of these little islands of innovation to systems.
We call it pockets of innovation, and one of our initiatives over the years has been the Schools of the Future challenge, which we've now tweaked to be Schools of the Future Student Invention Challenge, to reimagine the classroom of the future or school of the future. Talk to me about those challenges around getting beyond pockets of innovation.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of how do we go about thinking about scalability, and it's not like a software program where once you've written the code, you just apply it everywhere, because there's different kids with different needs. And so getting more thoughtful about that. And I think thinking in new ways. One of the exciting things I saw at the conference was we had some students from Ohio, a Lakota school district, and they've started a cyber academy. It's not really a class, but rather the kids do internships and they get certified. So they get, let's say, Cisco certified in cybersecurity.
Right.
They've now had several hundred kids do this, and the kids are offered jobs of $60K or better.
Brilliant.
Coming out of high school. And we see them negotiating, like, I want to go to college, but I'll work half time, and you pay my college.
It's incredible, the leadership. And when you give kids agency, the sky's the limit, isn't it?
Well, and I think we certainly see a lot of classes, but this is more than a class. It's a certification and a job experience. And the life skills that the kids were getting, were amazing. They were interviewed about how, proud they were taking agency, as you said, and really prepared for the world. Well,
speaking of that, I'm going to share my screen, and this captures our Schools of the Future challenge. Talk to me about the Sustainable Development Goals and giving students real world experience.
I think that's great. And we had Superintendent Chip Kimball, who he runs the the Prague American School. Before that, he was in Singapore at the Singapore American School. Before that, he was the superintendent in Washington State, Lake Washington. And before that, he was a CTO. So he talked about global competencies and how, and specifically these UN goals, which unfortunately, at least in the United States, are not very familiar. But we really need to align to those competencies and how important it is that we do that. So I hope that Canada is doing a better job than we are in the United States on that.
Well, we'll try to work with you and inspire more of awareness. Anything you implement takes time, unless it's ChatGPT that has caught the sector by the storm, and pretty much every sector has seen the potential. How is education grappling with this? We've been approached to launch an education-focused chat bot, and it's from another country, and it's the potential is unparalleled, but it needs to be managed and understood.
Yeah, I was at an event a few weeks ago with superintendents from the United States, and they were showing this chat, it interacted with this thing, but they on the spot, said, prepare me a lesson for third graders on a particular topic, and 20 seconds later you have a draft. Now, I think it's important to say it's a draft. It may or may not be completely accurate, but you can imagine the time efficiency for a teacher who, to have something like that. So yeah, you're showing a toolkit that we built 3 years ago that's free for anyone, the AI in K-12. That's general about AI in education. So you're welcome to go to our website. Just go to CoSN.org/AI. The other, on the right side of the screen, is our member exclusive brief, which goes only to our members. And if you log in on our website, you'll have access to that. And that is specifically about generative AI, which ChatGPT would be the first famous poster child, but certainly not the last. And what we've tried to do in that very short member exclusive brief is, help heads of technology be thoughtful as they talk to their teachers, to talk to the superintendent, to talk to parents who are in a panic over this. How do we calmly, this is very similar. You and I have been around a while. We remember, graphing calculators and the disruption they were going to cause when we were in high school. And then, 20 years ago, that allowing Google and search into, and then it was Google Docs and every other technology. But this truly, the natural inclination to ban isn't probably the way. It's rather to say, how do we, do this thoughtfully?
Well said, Keith. And so just before we wrap up, CoSN 2024 in Miami, Florida.
Which Canadians, I hear there's more Canadians in Florida than they are in the winter in Toronto.
Yeah, no doubt. And so
hopefully in April, they'll be able to come over and join us at the Intercontinental.
Absolutely. I'll have to finesse this one with a little vacation, and my wife always enjoys Florida, so I'll be able to attend this year. And apologies for missing, but this has been a great reflection of CoSN 2023 and all the great work and research that you do and curating the community. It's never been a more exciting and important time in EdTech, and kudos to you for a successful event, Keith Krueger.
Thank you, Robert.
That was Keith Krueger, the CEO of CoSN. My name is Robert Merdlacci, the Mindshare Learning Report. Be sure to check out www.mindshare Learning to get your latest issue. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.